Well, this past December of 2023, my family went to Hawaii. To Maui, Hawaii, which is our 49th state. And it was pretty cool. We did it differently than we normally travel. Normally we go places, we like live there and really kind of become one with the culture and the people and like act like locals, not like tourists. But in Hawaii, we decided to completely just do it up as a vacation, which we haven't had like a real like vacation in a really long time, which sounds weird because we travel all the time, but it's true, like we don't really vacation. But so we did vacation in Hawaii, we did all the fun stuff and it was a great time. And I think like when you first step off the plane in Hawaii, even like the air smells like flowers. The culture is just so strong there. It was amazing. I knew it was gonna be amazing. Like my whole life I always wanted to go there because I knew it would be awesome. And my expectations were met, if not exceeded. It was amazing. It was pretty awesome. So we stayed in two different places. We stayed in Wailea, which is kind of like a resorty, touristy area. We stayed at a hotel there, a nice hotel. And then we also stayed in Hana, which is like a kind of like backwoods place in Hawaii. Like it's really hard to get to and pretty like rural out there, but it is amazing. It's a hidden gem. And the resorts were really cool. I went to yoga at one of the resorts and they had all these awesome pools and food and like they give you leis right when you get there. It's like the movies. You get there and they just come over and put a lei over your head and say aloha. Aloha. We spent 2 days in Wailea and 2 days in Hana. So while we were in Wailea, we spent our mornings doing the touristy stuff. So our first morning, we spent surfing, which was really, really fun. I've always wanted to be like an awesome surfer. It just seems fun to me. Not really my extreme skill set. I can hang, but I'm never gonna be a pro. But it's fun. It was a lot of fun. So we did family surf lessons with our instructor, Wave Daddy. And my mom definitely struggled the most, but she did eventually stand up in the end. And it was like, I'm just saying, the culture is so strong. Like we're out there in the middle of the ocean surfing and this other surfer dude like kind of swims over to our family and pulls out plumeria flowers from under his hat and gives them to all the girls. Like it's just so cool. And then the second morning we went snorkeling. And so snorkeling was awesome. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but it was so cool. We got to hold an octopus and it like crawled up my whole arm. It was crazy. And then he like kind of had to rip it off and it was all suctioned to me. And there was a sea turtle and it was at least as big as I was. And only one other person saw it. And so we both swam after it. And she was someone else in our group, I didn't know. And I swam above the sea turtle, like 1 foot above it, just swimming, like matching its movements to mine. For it must have been a good 10 minutes. It was so cool. And then it like just kept getting closer and I was able to touch its shell and then it just sank back into the ocean. It was amazing. The Hawaiians think that the sea turtles are just like kind of like gross, like they're everywhere and they don't like them very much, the locals, but I have never seen a sea turtle that close in their life and I thought it was really cool. Yeah, so for our evening in Wailea, we went to a luau. And so I've heard about luau's, but I didn't really know exactly what we were getting into. And so we get there and the food was amazing. It was just so beautiful the way it was all set up. And it was like just so good. Everything in Hawaii tastes sweet. Like they don't really do salt very much. It's all like sweet fruit, seasoned everything. But yeah, so the luau was amazing. We got to sit with a bunch of other people at our table from different places in the world, and we watched these dancers, these Hawaiian native dancers, and they put like almost like a story together for us, and they danced to all these old traditional songs, and it was amazing. It was not at all what I was expecting, because like you see these dancers and like the hula skirts and everything on all, like people have seen that image. It's popular for Hawaii, like everyone pictures that, but like actually seeing it in real life, it was so much more like serious and like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It just like, the culture was so strong and you just felt their connection like to their ancestors and you felt like the meaning behind everything they did. Like it wasn't like funny or like even like just for entertainment. Like it was serious and it was really, really cool. And so that was awesome to watch. It was really cool. And they taught us a little hula, but it was really hard actually. But it was just so cool. But I just left and I just remember thinking like, I had two main thoughts. I was like, A, that was just amazing, but also like it's kind of sad at the same time. Like it just makes you wish that nobody had ever found their island, you know, and they were still there really just enjoying that culture that they had built, all these Hawaiians, and instead like they were found, and so now it's like a touristy place, and like they put on luau's for us, which is amazing, and I'm so glad I got to witness it. But it just was kind of like sad, like there's a little pocket of the world that you kind of wished was still untouched. And then my other thought was like how awesome it was that they can like trace their roots back so far, and just the heritage and culture is so strong there, because in America, like obviously we're the melting pot, which is cool, like people talk about how awesome that is all the time, but there is something to be said, I think, for smaller countries, smaller communities where you can really trace your ancestry back forever. I mean, there's just so much cultural identity, and that's something I think America probably doesn't have as much of as these other places like Europe and Hawaii apparently. So that was really, really cool to get to experience that. But after that, all of that, we headed on to Hana. Now, anyone who's been to Maui or heard anything about it, really, you might be familiar with the road to Hana. It's like this crazy, twisty-turny, through the mountains road, and like a lot of it is one way. Well, no, sorry, it's two way, but it's one lane, so you have to just like honk your horn and hope that nobody else is coming the other way, and it's like really like this thin and right on the edge of the mountains. It's crazy, and it's over all these crazy bridges. So my mom was really nervous, but it was less scary than I was expecting when we were on it, but we had a lot of fun with that because there's all these stops along the ways at waterfalls and eucalyptus trees and stuff. So it was really, really cool. And Lucy and I, one of our favorite books ever it takes place on Maui, Hawaii, and it is, well, part of it takes place on it. It's a long story, but we both really, really love it. So it was really cool getting to like kind of go on the road to Hana and like relive all these things. But so after working for like an hour and a half on this road, we finally made it to Hana, and it's like really small back there because it's really hard to get there. So it's really private and small community, but they have all these fun things. They've got a black sand beach that we went to, and a really, really tall waterfall, a whole bamboo forest. Like I didn't even know bamboo grew in Hawaii, so that was cool to figure out. And they had just a couple scenes from our book that we loved. We got to go to those places. But yeah, so it was really cool. Yeah, and so at this point our trip was about coming to a close. We had been to the touristy side, we had been to the rural side, and it was really fun. But we still had a couple highlights left. On our way back down the road to Hana, the next day, we spent a whole day in Hana, we stopped at a fruit stand. And that does not maybe sound like the coolest thing in the world, but it was the coolest thing. It was so, like, we were hungry for lunch, and like in America we would probably just get like Cliff Bars or something, or I guess we were still in America. On the mainland we would get Cliff Bars or something probably, but in Hawaii we stopped at this fruit stand, and it was the best fruit ever. So we grabbed like literally one of everything. We had a mango, a papaya, a passion fruit, which I didn't even know what passion fruit were other than a flavor of like LaCroix. And then we had, what else we have? Oh, a pineapple. Like they're really famous for their Maui gold pineapples. And so he cut up all the stuff and we ate literally everything that he gave us. But the most important or notable thing that we had was a coconut. So this guy at the fruit stand on the side of the road, like screwed a hole into the top of the coconut and gave us all straws. So we drank out this like lukewarm coconut water. Honestly, it was really good in the moment, but I had way too much of it, and it's kind of hard to talk about now. It makes me feel a little ill just to think about. But we drank this coconut water, and then he like cut the coconut in half and gave us the meat to eat, and it was just like so much of it. And it's really like, I mean, it's like the type of thing where you eat one bite and you're like, oh, that's cool, I ate a coconut. But then you eat 2 bites and you're like, I don't really want to keep eating this coconut. Like, it's good, but it's not that good. But Lucy and I were like, we can't let a coconut go to waste in Hawaii. So I'm gonna give her credit, she ate a lot more of it than I did. But between the two of us, we finished the whole coconut, and now we're never gonna be able to eat coconut again. It was way too much. We overindulged. Even like the papaya and the mango, it was a fun memory, but it's gonna be a long time before I can eat tropical fruit again because we ate so much of it. I'm gonna move on because it's making me feel slightly ill just to talk about it. But, so, on our way back down, we wanted to stop. There are 2 national parks in Hawaii, and for those of you who know us pretty well, we like to stop at as many national parks as we can. So there's only one on Maui, and it's, I'm probably gonna say it wrong, Haleakala, and it's a volcano. So on our way back from the road to Hana, we drove up the volcano and just to look at it from the top. Normally, my mom had this crazy hike planned, but we were just running short on time. This is one of the only national parks that we didn't hike at all. Like we walked like 10 steps to a lookout. Oh, actually, we did hike at it. I forgot, actually. Never mind. It's a big national park, and we hiked at the other side of it, but I forgot all about that. That was really cool. That was where the bamboo forest was. But we did not hike on the actual volcano itself. But so we stopped at world famous Maui Cookie Lady, who our surf instructor, Wave Daddy, was like, you gotta go to Maui Cookie Lady. So we stopped at Maui Cookie Lady, got some really scrumptious cookies. They were quite delectable. And then we drove up to the top of Haleakala, and then we took some pictures and, I don't know, looked around. And then we drove back down, and it was like really high up. I forget what the elevation was, but it was pretty high. And so we were driving back down through all these clouds, and then it was really sad because normally when you're on vacation, like the last you see of it is from the airplane, you know, and you can like just watch it fade away out your window. But we had a red eye, and so we like, as we were driving down the mountain, Hawaii just like slowly started to fade, and it got all dark and we couldn't see it anymore, and then we left in the pitch black. So that was the last I remember of Hawaii, was driving down the Haleakala, and we could see all the other islands. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. But yeah, so then we drove to the airport, dropped off our rental car, and we left on our red eye. And most of us didn't sleep on the plane. And then we got back and we landed in Michigan, and it was a slap back to reality. Oh wait, we didn't land in Michigan, sorry. That was a complete lie. We landed in Phoenix, Arizona, because we had just spent like 2 months in Arizona for the fall like we normally do. So we landed in Phoenix. But then we had a wedding to be to in Michigan 3 days later, so we didn't have time to sleep that night. So we just drove. The second we hit the ground running, and drove, I think it was like 27 total hours, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was. It felt like a lot. And so we drove that over 2.5 days and made it to our wedding, and now we're in freezing Michigan. The only other thing I realized I forgot to say about Hawaii was the rainbows. So like the license plate in Hawaii is the rainbow, right? But you get there and it's like a tropical paradise. Like it's humid like Florida, it feels a lot like Florida, and it like smells like flowers like some parts of Florida do. But it looked more like California because it's got the coast and the mountains, but then also like it was tropical in a weird way too. So it was like no place I've ever been before. I've never been anywhere like this. But you get there and it's like sunny every day, but it also kind of sprinkles a little bit every single day. So there is always a rainbow, and not just like a little tiny rainbow, like a full rainbow every single day. Like it totally makes sense now why the license plates are rainbows, because we saw a lot of rainbows while we were there, and it was amazing. So yeah, that was our 49th state trip to Hawaii. It was a good time. See you later.